VGT and XLK are two of the most popular tech sector ETFs, each having over $47 billion in assets under management. VGT as a Vanguard ETF seems almost to be a crowd pleaser. It has a cult following, and many people love it, of course, because it's done a great job. But as I was doing my research into this ETF, I found something kind of interesting. It seems that when you go back to February 15th of 2018 until today, almost every single time period, you're gonna see that XLK has outperformed. And it's kind of weird and it's kind of interesting to me, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we go back to that day, Wednesday, February 15th of the year 2018, and we take a look at the comparison between the rate of return between XLK and VGT, you'll see XLK has outperformed 141.38% versus VGT 141.23%. And when we start changing these time periods, let's go to March 1st. XLK outperforming. Pick another random date, May of 2018. XLK outperforming. November of 2018. XLK outperforming. Let's go to August of 2019. We'll switch up the year here. XLK outperforming. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. XLK is outperforming since that time period. Now let's go back to that date again, February 15th of 2018. And instead of going forward in time, let's go backward. Let's go to February 1st of 2018. Oh, VGT is now outperforming, 138.17 to 137.05. Pick another random date. November 1st of 2017, VGT is outperforming. Going back further, February of 2017, VGT is outperforming. It goes on and on and on and on and on here. VGT is outperforming all of these different time periods from before February 15th of 2018. So what is going on here? Why is this a thing? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode. We're going to figure out, is VGT not the best ETF anymore for the tech sector? Is XLK? What maybe happened around this time period? Because something kind of did happen around this time period. We're going to speculate here. So got a lot to go over in this video. I hope you stick around. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. And I want to hear from you in the comments below. What do you think? XLK, VGT, which do you like? Is there a conspiracy? Is there something crazy going on here? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. So to understand something that was going on around this time period of February of 2018, I have an article here from Kiplinger, and this is, Do You Own ETFs? Heed the GICS Makeup. This was written on January 17th of 2018. And this essentially goes through the fact that around this time period, they announced the stocks that were going to be transitioned from the tech sector ETFs, like the ones that VGT tracks, and they were going to be transitioning some of these companies into a new ETF sector called the communications sector. Prior to September of 2018, there wasn't a communications sector. There was only 10 sectors. Now there's 11 sectors. This is when this whole thing kind of happened. Now this was actually a very big thing because VGT tracks an index that's made by MSCI. That's the benchmark index. And MSCI uses the GICS standard for creating their sectors, essentially. Also, XLK, guess what? They use S&P Global, and S&P Global also uses GICS. Okay, let's just go over real quick. What is GICS? So I'm getting really in depth here. We're going to Wikipedia. So GICS is the Global Industry Classification Standard. GICS is the acronym, and it's a industry taxonomy developed in 1999 by MSCI and Standard & Poor's, S&P, for the use of the global financial community. The whole reason we have ETFs like XLK, VGT, is because there's this classification system created by GICS. So what happens is companies like MSCI, which create indexes, the benchmark that, for example, VGT actually tracks, or S&P Global, which creates its own also index, the index that XLK actually tracks. They base those indexes on GICS. And so around this time period, specifically in January of 2018, is when they announced which stocks would be transitioning from the tech sector at the time to this new sector, the communication services sector. Here's an article from March 5th of 2018 saying that essentially Vanguard will begin to track new transition benchmarks. implemented, by the way, by the GICS classification system sector classifications being implemented by its index partner MSCI. The impact will be felt at 3 Vanguard ETFs. Guess which of the 3 is listed? The Vanguard Information Technology Index VGT. Here's a graphic showing some of the weightings of VGT before this whole shakeup happened. So VGT had Facebook stock 6.65%, which by the way now is not in the tech sector anymore, right? Alphabet, aka Google, which was 5%. Alphabet, aka Google, there's 2 share classes, 4.89%. Communication sector. All of these companies that used to be in tech, did this have something to do with the fact that right around that time period when this was announced, which companies would be transitioning, that suddenly VGT started underperforming XLK? Now, I've been trying to wrap my head around this for like a week because they didn't actually make the changes of the actual ETFs and the indexes, that the benchmark indexes, until September. So why would this happen before they would even change that? And that's why I don't know if this is like the correlation is not causation type thing. Maybe this has nothing to do with it. I'm making it all up and I'm getting paranoid. Or maybe there is something about this and this happened to trigger something, and for some reason since then, VGT has not outperformed XLK. I don't know. So what I do know is that going forward, I have my own opinion about what might happen with these 2 ETFs. Now let's talk about the indexes that these 2 ETFs track. So VGT tracks the MSCI US IMI Information Technology 2550 Index. This is an index created by MSCI. VGT just tries to use this as a benchmark and replicate what MSCI created. Now, XLK, on the other hand, says that the companies included in each select sector index are selected on the basis of General Industry Classification, GICS, from a universe of companies defined by the Standard & Poor's 500 Composite Index, S&P 500. In layman's terms, what does this mean? So essentially, this XLK ETF tracks the tech sector of the S&P 500 index, while the Vanguard VGT ETF does not track the S&P 500 tech sector. It tracks the MSCI index of tech companies. Why does this all matter? So there is a big reason that this does matter. MSCI, they take the entire, let's say, global stock market, every stock in like the globe, and then they define it down into like US, for example, and then the US, they go down into the sectors, right? So what they do is they take the entire total market. MSCI is using the whole US stock market and all of the stocks in the tech sector of the whole market. That means that there's going to be a lot more stocks or a lot more companies, a lot more sized companies than in the XLK ETF, because XLK is only using the S&P 500 companies, the top 500 largest companies that happen to be in the tech sector. Huge differences here. XLK is going to have a lot fewer stocks in it because it's only going with the top 500 largest companies. VGT has the ability to go with the entire stock market, so that's a few thousand companies, decide which are in the tech sector, and then take all of those different companies in the tech sector and put that into this ETF. So at the end of the day, the portfolios look quite different. So if we look at the number of holdings that are, for example, in VGT, there's 362 different holdings, when XLK, which is supposed to track the tech sector, right, only has 78 different holdings. Why is that? Because XLK only uses the S&P 500 as its universe of stocks that it can invest in that happen to be in the tech sector, when VGT is investing in a much larger universe of different stocks. Now, there's one more thing I want to tell you before I kind of tell you which of these I think is going to do better over the next few years, and that's I wanted to talk about the different market size companies and how those different styles have performed recently. So what I wanted to show you here is the returns of large cap versus small cap, for example, and how large cap has done so much better than small cap and mid cap over the past, let's say, 5 to 8 years. So in 2021, large caps did better than small caps, 28%. For small caps, 14%. It just killed the return of small caps. The same was with mid caps, which is not in this, but mid caps also underperformed large caps. In 2020, small caps did better, but only slightly better, 20% versus 18.4%. In 2019, large caps win. 2018, large caps win by quite a big margin. And so the point I'm trying to get across here is that recently, in recent history in the market, large caps have done so much better than mid caps and small caps. But the question is, how long is this going to continue? Because that's not always normal. There's always time periods going back in the market where small caps, mid caps did outperform large caps, and it's not normal to have it like this big of an outperformance for this long. So at the end of the day, what do I think? Do I think VGT is going to do better over the next few years, or do I think XLK is going to continue outperforming? Is there a conspiracy going on? Here's what I think. I think at the end of the day, right now, XLK is just done better because it's got more money inside of the S&P 500 large cap companies, which have done better. Large caps have done better. And VGT is in a more broadly diversified portfolio, which does have a lot of large caps, but it also has some mid and some small, and those have not performed as well as the larger cap companies. And so what do I think? I think it's time for mid and small cap companies over the next maybe 2-3 years to outperform and do better. And I think VGT is going to benefit from that. And I think, over the next maybe 2-3 years, VGT is going to end up outperforming XLK. That's my 2 cents. That's my opinion. No idea if I'm right, but that's what I think. That's the conclusion I've made out of all this stuff I've thought about. So I hope you like this video. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Please hit that like button. Subscribe to see future content like this. I got some affiliate links of some stuff down in the bottom in the description if you want to support my channel and watch another one of my videos coming up on the end screen right now.